Joan, what is your understanding or take on responsible science communication, and what would be the irresponsible science communication? Over to you, Joan.
In the case of responsible science communication, I think there are three sort of big issues. One of those is that a responsible science communication is inclusive. And so that people use that word all the time, inclusive, but it's actually a very, very difficult thing to do well, to be inclusive. And that means involving both scientists, researchers, as well as communities. And so responsible science communication tries to get as many voices around the table as it possibly can. The other thing about responsible science communication is it's willing to negotiate. Okay, so facts are facts, but our understanding of those facts can change. And that's how science works, right? We're looking for that, but on our way to find out about the world, our ideas about that can change. And so good science communication recognizes that, to negotiate that. And so it's one of those things, there's a lot of interest right now about misinformation. And one of the things about a lot of the fake news around is it doesn't negotiate. It tries to tell you what to think, and it's such a sign, right, that it's fake because it won't negotiate. But responsible science communication will kind of negotiate. And finally, I think there's a really important feature of responsible science communication, and that's that it has the public good in mind. That it's not just about telling people what to think about science, and it's not just communicating to people the facts, but it also keeps an eye on why they need to know those things, and why they might want to know other things. So there's a public good angle to responsible science communication.
Grace, you have been a scientist yourself, and you have been working with many parts of society, including politicians, including NGOs. In your view, to be able to communicate and to make an impact, what are the key elements? What is the experience from Davao for you with different initiatives you have been working with?
When I was interviewed by a certain media in Davao about 5 years ago, I think there is where responsible science communication comes in, because when I was interviewed, I think the one who interviewed me really don't have enough knowledge on science. So the information that I gave was not that exact message that I have told him. So it takes really to have some negotiation. John have stress about negotiation, so that there would be common understanding on what really the message is when you go down to the end user level. In the case of Hayop Davao Network, I have used my knowledge and my skills on science communication. So we have drafted lots of brochures and posters for the community that we have adapted in one of the social units in Davao, Philippines. And now it has worked well, really, especially that this is related to the disaster risk reduction management. And I think it really helps the community. That information really is something that they hold on and they use during disasters like flooding.
But what we have to remember is that most of the time with science communication, we're talking about a science-society relationship. We're not just talking about the science. We're talking about science in a political system, in a culture that might have different values and norms. And so when I say negotiation, it isn't just scientists negotiating with each other or scientists negotiating with politicians. It's a multifaceted negotiation. And one of the most difficult things, I think, for scientists is to realize that in a social system, science may not always win. That sometimes political solutions or social solutions will win the day. And I think scientists feel really aggrieved by that. They hate that when that happens. But I think it's part of realizing the way that science fits into society. And that's another thing that science communicators work with. It's not just communicating from science to society, but it's communicating back. And it's saying, well, actually, we don't want that solution. And so then that's when the negotiation begins. So it can't just be one way. And negotiation has to take into account social values as well. And that's really the complexity of science communication. So science communication starts at the beginning when you plan. It goes through these processes that Grace is absolutely expert in, where you're negotiating with communities and you're negotiating with politicians, all the way to the end where you also have to negotiate with scientists about why their proposed result didn't win the day. And that happens sometimes.
Okay, so I already have in mind that there should be three things that should happen if ever we will have some Japanese funds and trust through UNESCO. One is we should be able a part of the loop for the global science communication. Like we're happy. I am very happy that Professor John is really that accommodating also for us, as he mentioned that you will be collaborating with us. So that's the second with collaboration. The second is a science communication should be part of the research continuum. So I really agree with that statement of Professor John that it should be part of the proposal so that you already have a communication plan. When you design your research proposal, you should scientific paper, you should have already also have a communication plan. And it should be kind of consulted by the community so that there's already negotiation. Yeah. So and two-way negotiation. In this, I learned a lot from the Professor John. And also the third is I want to be emphatic. I want to repeat and reiterate what I've said that sustainability science should be made sustainable. So they should be follow through. There are a lot of very wonderful and amazing output of our project, UNESCO and Davao Network. So we should have follow through that so that they will really be translated to the attainment of the SDGs.
And science communication's importance has never been so high as it is now. With this pandemic, certainly communication is a key area. Science communication is an important area. So we need to be inclusive. We need to make sure all stakeholders are included in while we are designing science, as the science results are being delivered. And we should be able to negotiate together, to talk to each other, to be able to understand different perspectives. And then very, very importantly, making sure science communication itself is a public good. And for that, we need scientists who understand science communication, but we also need dedicated science communicators. We need to bring science communication right from the beginning of the design of the concepts of ideas all the way to the delivery. And very importantly, maybe we need to continue to follow up. The center in Australia, Australian National Center for Public Awareness about Science, is bringing a multicultural approach, very important approach where many different perspectives are coming, and that enriches the experience, and that enriches how can we work together to solve big issues and state defects very importantly. Professor Joan has mentioned a very important aspect that it's not science only which helps us decide on critical issues. The resolutions may have many other social and political considerations, and we need to bring the scientists to be able to understand those considerations as well. While the evidence base is very important, the resolution of the society to go to certain directions informed by science, but the final decisions may have many other considerations as well. So that's very important. And Professor Grace has given us an excellent example from Davao in Mindanao, where more than 10 years, the stakeholders have been working together. There are many volunteers who are scientists themselves. There are people from NGOs, and there are people who are politicians themselves who make decisions. There are people from the regional boards. And very importantly, the concept of sustainability science, which came from Japan Fund Interest, where we looked into the natural sciences and the social sciences, needed a lot of communication across disciplines, needed a lot of negotiation, and very importantly, it has become a public good knowledge there as well. And we need to continue to work on that. And that needs longer term effort. And the example for Davao is over a period of 17 years, and Professor Grace has ably contributed for more than 10 years. So we must have science grounded in society. It's not science only, it's science for society, science with society, and science moving forward together with society. Also, very importantly, the role of science museums, the role of demonstration. While in pandemics like COVID, we cannot touch and feel and experiment, we need to bring more virtual reality and augmented reality so that children can continue to learn and society can benefit from understanding of science, and we get rid of those myths which may be around. So that all is very important. The new UNESCO chair, which is proposed by Professor Joan's center and by herself, will focus on science communication as a public good. We look forward to working with this very important chair and the center, and also to make these links which are critical for us, all of us.